When you're in it, it's hard to see, it's hard to name, it's hard to believe that what you're living through might actually be abuse. That was me. I was a father, a husband, and a provider, and from the outside, everything looked fine. But on the inside, I was constantly walking on eggshells. I was being blamed, insulted, shamed, mocked, and silenced. And still, I thought I was the problem here. I started trying to make sense of it all. I was journaling what had happened, researching terms like gaslighting and DARVO, trying to understand why everything felt so twisted. But what I found was that those terms only explained pieces of it. My journal ended up being a very long list, a list of things that had been said and done and twisted and denied, and I needed a way to make sense of it all. So I mapped it out. And I realized this wasn't random, it was structured, it was repeating, it was a pattern. So I created a metaphor to help me understand what was occurring. It was a house, not a home, a house built on abuse that I called the blueprint. I want to step you through each rooms of the blueprint so that you yourself can also get educated on the different types of tactics used in family violence. Let's begin at the entry. Every abusive system starts at the front door, the mask and the hook, where the abuser creates a false persona, someone charming and attentive and affectionate. They mirror your values and your hopes and your wounds. They love bomb you with gifts and words and connection. They promise a glowing future. It's fast, it's intense, it's intoxicating. That was my experience. I was told I was the answer to prayers, that I was everything she ever wanted. We moved fast. We laughed hard. We talked about marriage, kids, and a dream life. But it wasn't real. It was a mask. And I was being hooked, pulled into emotional dependency before I knew what was happening. This is how they lower your defenses, by making you feel like you're finally being seen. Once you're in the house, the walls start to bend, and we move to the master bedroom. This is where psychological manipulation begins, gaslighting, making you doubt what happened, projection, accusing you of what they're doing, blame shifting and rewriting every argument so it's your fault. I remember being told I was aggressive and unstable simply because I wanted a calm, respectful conversation. Over time, I stopped trusting myself and I began to rely on her version of reality, even when I knew deep down it felt wrong. It wasn't confusion, it was control by design. Next, we move to the home office. This is the emotional manipulation. It's not about reason, it's about reaction. They make you feel guilty for wanting boundaries. They cry when you try to leave. They rage when you set limits. They twist your empathy into compliance. I was told that if I loved her, I'd do what she needed. That saying no was cruel. I began to anticipate her moods before I even spoke. Emotional manipulation turns your own heart into a weapon against you. It keeps you stuck, scared, and constantly trying to fix what you didn't break. Next, we move to the hallway. Control doesn't always look like screaming or slamming doors. Sometimes it looks like her needing to know where you are at all times, or approving how you spend your money, or criticizing how you parent and how you sleep and how you breathe. In my home, I had to justify everything: my rest, my work, my breathing, how I stood, how I pronounced words, how I spent my money. Every decision came with a cost and a justification, and every emotion had consequences. This wasn't partnership, it was suppression dressed up as concern. Now to the bathroom. Entrapment is the slow erasing of your escape routes. Your friends have been pushed away. You're told you'll never cope alone, that the kids need their mum more, that you're selfish one for even thinking of leaving. I stayed longer than I wanted to, not because I didn't want to go, but because I no longer believed I could. That's not indecision, that's engineered paralysis. Now to the library. This is the abuse no one sees. It's where you hear the old adage, don't judge a book by its cover. Stonewalling, Forgetting plans, making cruel jokes in front of the others, kindness that appears just after cruelty. It leaves no marks, but it creates deep confusion. I remember people telling me how lucky I was. "Oh, she's lovely," they said. "You must be so happy." But behind closed doors, I was isolated, mocked, constantly undermined. Covert abuse is invisible to the outsiders and unbearable to live in. Now to the heart of the home, the living room and the kitchen. One day you realize you don't know who you are anymore. You don't laugh, you don't rest, you don't ask for help because you've been taught that your pain is weakness, that your joy is selfish, your needs are too much. She's told me how toxic I was, immature, that I was a failed man. And after enough time, I started to believe her. This is the deepest cut when the lies become your own beliefs. Next, we'll move to the dining room. Abuse by proxy means she doesn't have to be in the room to hurt you. She invites others to the dinner theatre that she's created. Flying monkeys, friends, family, teachers, lawyers, CPS. Suddenly, your name is being smeared. You're being investigated. You're defending yourself against things you did not do. No matter what you say, they've already picked a side. I was living inside a story I didn't write, and I couldn't make it stop. Next, we move to the outdoor patio. When you're just out the door, you're not in the house anymore, but you're not quite off the property. And just when you think it's over, some of it starts again, some of it escalates. Post separation abuse is where the punishment continues, with more false allegations, custody interference, misuse of the legal and the court system. I've been there, trying to parent through sabotage, being called dangerous when I set boundaries, watching professionals treat me with suspicion simply because I was a man. This is a system being used as a weapon, and for many of us, is the hardest stage of all. Abuse is rarely random. It's structured, predictable, and patterned. And when you can see the patterns, when you can name what's happening, you can begin to break free of it. That's what the blueprint is for, is to help you name what's happening, to help you trust yourself again. It's not therapy or legal advice, it's a mirror built from my lived experience. So if something in this house felt familiar, you are not crazy. You are not alone. And you are not beyond healing. Explore the full journey at standagain.com.au. And no matter how many times you've been knocked down, you can stand again.